Good morning. Soph, what do you got?
Morning, Mike.
Hi, Soph.
I'm curious, what have you seen from Drake this week in terms of preparation and just his ability to maybe stay even-keeled given the higher media attention and the bigger stage?
Well, I think we try to make it as normal as we possibly can, knowing that it's not going to be, and we try to stay on the same routine and try to keep the meeting times the same, the treatment times, and I think that these guys were able to work on Monday, have yesterday off. There was a lot of activity around the hotel, the meeting rooms, and guys are getting together and watching tape, and I think that's what everybody has to do to make sure that they're ready. And I think the next 48 hours will be critical for us as we kind of get back into our normal routine here of a Wednesday and Thursday, and then the families come in and just things start to ramp up.
Mike, over here.
I don't know where over here is.
Over to your left, sorry. We see teams every year spend big in free agency, and a lot of times it doesn't work. You guys had a lot of success with what you did in free agency this year. Was there something about your approach that you think going into that as an organization that led to that success?
Well, I think you just have to be very intentional with the people that you're bringing in. I think, sometimes free agency, you have to be able to use it. People use it in different ways. It's a part of our business. It's another way to acquire players and player acquisition. Understand that you have to be convicted on the person that you're bringing in as a player, and also the impact that they're going to make in the locker room and around the building and in the community. So, I appreciate what everybody did and their efforts, and Elliot and Ryan and Stretch. I appreciate what they do to help us steer us in the right direction as it relates to the players that we're going to try to acquire.
Go front row on the right.
Joseph Parmer, Medill Reports. Coach, you guys have ended up drafting 3 rookies this year that have made significant contributions on special teams. Can you speak to the contributions of those guys throughout the season?
Well, it is, we did have some significant changes in that department, and when it relates to Andy and Julian, being able to come into this league and handle that. And again, it's never going to be perfect. Every kick isn't going to be made. But when we've needed Andy, and I think he's really settled in, Julian's been consistent, and Bryce has been, our punter has been pretty much the veteran of the group that's kind of handled those guys. So, we've made big kicks when we've had to, going to Miami and to Buffalo and on through the playoffs. So those will be critical that if this game comes down to a field goal, I'm confident that those guys will execute.
Dan Roach on the far left.
Morning, Mike.
Hi, Danny.
Just a thought on, you mentioned the word critical these next 3 days. You mentioned last week you were slowly going to install things. What's the process like for you in getting these next 3 days and getting the most important things done?
Well, we felt like you just needed to make sure that they were engaged and that there wasn't stuff that was just repetitive and they were sitting there looking at us like, we already covered this, we went through this. So want to make sure that now they're stimulated, they're engaged, and locked in, moving forward here, first, second, and third, and red zone and situations. So that's why the next 48 hours, I think, will be, really important.
Phil Perry in the middle.
Hey, Mike, I'm curious, why do you think the Seahawks are so effective defending the run with just sometimes 4 down linemen?
Because they play with great technique. They play with great effort. They're talented, different skill sets. You may look at Murphy, and he has one skill set. You look at Leonard Williams, different skill set. Both play square. They play with their hands. The edge guys set, sometimes vertical edges. Sometimes they mix in some movement. They don't get moved off the line of scrimmage, and so if you don't move the line of scrimmage, it's going to be hard to run the football.
Jane Slater in the front.
Hey, Coach, there's perception and reality when it comes to the Super Bowl and the experience with a lot of these young guys, and you reflect back on your first time. What is something that you wish you knew that first time around that you learned after all of those visits to the Super Bowl that you've passed on to this team?
I didn't really, again, every game is different, and don't anticipate how it's going to go. Whether it comes down to the end of the game situation or a kick or a 2-minute drill, Try not to predict what those are going to be. Make sure that each and every situation is covered and understand that each of them is critical, whether that's a short yardage early in the first quarter or that's a red zone stop late in the game to give our team a chance to win. So just understand, having watched all these Super Bowls in the last few years and the ones that I've been a part of, is trying not to really predict how it's going to go, and you'll have to see how the game's unfolding. But understand each situation that we're going to be asked to execute, we've been through, since April.
Front row.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. You didn't have any overtime games this year. Coming into this year, did you and your staff have any general viewpoint on offense first, defense first? And did that attitude, that philosophy change at all when you saw the overtime games unfold in the regular season and in the playoffs?
I mean, we have conversations, and we'll continue to talk about it. Whatever the philosophy ends up being, the players have been explained what that is or what that will be and how we'll try to attack it. And a lot of this depends on their kickoff return, where the ball goes on touchbacks, how good the field goal kickers are. There's just a lot that goes into it. So they'll understand the overtime rules is, it's just like starting a new game. It's not sudden death. Both teams will get an opportunity to possess the ball. We'll get to the end of the first quarter, and if there's 30 seconds, it's not the end of the game. We're just going to flip it over and go to the second quarter. So we've explained all that, and then we'll just have to be ready if this game goes to overtime.
Andrew Callahan, back row on the left.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
We've talked a lot about how you supported Ramondre through the passing of his father back in the spring. Just curious what you remember specifically about your conversations with Tony Dews before he went out to Vegas, and what was the best course of action then?
I think there's things that come up that you're not, really prepared for. And to have, Ramondre have something that traumatic happen to him and his family, and him not know us as people was hard. And to try to support somebody that he doesn't know where we're coming from. He doesn't know Mike Vrabel. He doesn't know Tony Dews. Other than taking some faith that we're looking out for him as a person, and we're looking out for him and his family and what's best and how they handle it, and try to do everything that we could to get him in a place that he could come and do his job and perform and do and glorify his dad. And he's done that every single day. I'm proud of him. I can't imagine how that felt and what that still feels like. And, we're lucky to have people like Tony Dews who care deeply about not only his position, but everybody on this football team and coaches and staff. And, Tony he would have gone the second that I told him. It was just like, give him a little bit of time, just figure, just let's wait. And then finally it worked out for Tony to go out there and be with Ramondre and his family. So obviously very appreciative of Tony.
Cameron Wolf, back row left.
Good morning, Mike. You talked about Terrell yesterday and him being here. I'm curious if you could maybe describe what impact he was able to have on the team, even through battling his cancer, and how Zach's maybe stepped up in a unique situation as the play caller.
Well, we've always talked about the impact that T makes on not only the defense, but throughout the football team. His ability to connect and reach with every single player at every single position, young players, veteran players. That's a skill. That's something that I can't necessarily teach or instruct them on. It kind of that's something that comes very naturally to Terrell. So I would say that his humility through all of this has been something that I've really appreciated. Never wanted to be a distraction, even if I told him a million times that he wasn't, and even if the players told him that he wasn't. His humility was always about the team. He just kept saying, I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want people to worry about me. So I've always appreciated that, and I'm glad that he's here with us. Zach has been fantastic. I think that much like players, when given opportunities, coaches sometimes have the same thing. When they get more opportunity, they take advantage of it, and then turn that into something else.
Megan Orlidi in the front right.
Hey, Mike. Will shared a story with us yesterday about one of the early times that you guys met in Baton Rouge, and he said he took you for barbecue for a 4-hour meal. What do you remember about that meal, and what kind of growth have you seen from him in this rookie season?
Well, I think Will's a great teammate. I think that, again, each and every day he's grown. He's improved as a person, as a player, and as a teammate. He's comfortable in his own skin. He's around a lot. The meal was, excellent. A lot of those local establishments take care of the boys down there in Baton Rouge. So it was a big spread, a great meal, and I hope to go back there and hang out. And we had a good time. And he made, again, I've said this before. It was Will wanted to make it known that he wanted to be here, and by that visit, not when he visited our place, but when we visited there, it was clear that this was the place that he wanted to be.
Taylor Kyle's back row left.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, hey, Taylor.
So the Seahawks, a lot of their big plays have come from play action. Conversely, you guys have been one of the best defenses against play action. What's made Seattle so effective when they use their run fakes, and what's made you guys so effective at stopping those kinds of plays?
All these human interest stories, and then Taylor just goes right into the nuts and bolts of it. I know. I love it. You have to be able to transition. If you don't pressure and you don't time up the pressure with play action, again, they're trying to get people blocking at the line of scrimmage. They're trying to marry their run actions with this system, which as far back as I can remember in this system, and Clint's done a great job of marrying their run actions each week. It's difficult to prepare for. So you get linebackers that are now coming up to the line of scrimmage, opening up passing lanes at the second and third level, and usually finding ways to protect the quarterback with 7 guys in there. So big thing for us has always just been about transitioning and making sure that we're able to get back, we're able to panic when we're not pressuring, and that we're able to get into those throwing lanes.
Sal Paolentino in the front right.
Mike, you said that the next 48 hours are so important, so critical. What do you remember about when you were a player, these 48 hours that you can convey to your football team, the advice that you got or the approach that you got when you were a player in these 48 hours?
I mean, it seems like forever ago, Sal. So I don't know if there is anything really specifically that I would take. It's a whirlwind on the first Super Bowl. We didn't have the week off. I just felt like being in this game with a week off, trying to be very intentional with the schedule, what we were doing when we were working, and not just going 8 days straight. Felt like that was important. So trying to be intentional with the schedule, but also just trying to keep them engaged, keep them locked in, and get them to believe that something that we do at practice today is going to come up in the game, and how we handle that or how we execute that is could make the difference. And so that's how we've tried to approach all our practices, is that something that you're going to do today is going to help us win. I don't know which play it is. I'm not sure which correction that it will be, but there's going to be a play today that somebody's going to make or not make that's going to make the difference in the game on Sunday.
Back row left.
Mike, you have a roster was turned over half the players a year ago, and of course you have holdovers, you have draft picks, you have free agents. A lot of times that takes multiple seasons to come together. To what do you attribute the ability of your team to come together so quickly in one season to be here?
Well, I think getting the right people in the building. I think we were intentional about trying to make sure that when the players returned, there was a program in place that they could look at, that they could believe in, that they wanted to be a part of, and that they wanted to protect. That's what we set out to do much before the players were even into the building. Felt like we were intentional with what we did in the offseason about building a team, bringing guys together from every background and every different experience. And I didn't think that it was important to go out on the field in minicamp. I felt like it was more important to spend that time getting to know each other and trying to build that before we went out and tried to run plays.
Mark Daniels, middle row right.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Mark.
With Drake May, was there a moment this offseason or season that you realized he was special and had special abilities?
I mean, I think I probably realized that before I got here. I think that's it's a large part of the reason that I wanted to be here. There were plays in training camp and things that he did Whether I think the thing that was the accuracy outside of the pocket or on the move is, I've touched on it, is just the way that he plays the position. It's just, he has an athletic nature to the way that he plays the position. And so I think that's somewhat unique. I think that everybody has a different skill set, and he's comfortable in the pocket. I think his ability to transfer up into the pocket to make moves, to make throws off platform and at different angles has been impressive.
Second row left.
Hi, Coach. Jimmy English from Gaelic Gridiron. Coach, you've led the Patriots to their first Super Bowl appearance since 2019 in your first year as head coach, and you're on track to become the first person to win a Super Bowl with the same organization as a player and a coach. What would a win on Sunday mean to you personally and to the organization and to the entire team?
Well, the organization has set a standard. The Patriot organization, Robert and Jonathan have set a standard for this organization that this is what the expectation is. And we understand that. We embrace that. For me personally, I've been through this. I want the players to experience this with their families. I want them to experience this with their kids. I want Morgan Moses to experience this with his 3 boys. He's been such a great presence on our football team. Not talking about his play on the field, which has been superb, but just his presence, his demeanor. He's a wonderful father. The way that he cares for his boys and does his job is something that I appreciate. So I want them to experience that and that feeling. I'll be excited watching them enjoy it.
We're going to do 2 final questions, and we'll take the ones that have had their hands up the entire time. So we'll go far right.
Mike, Ryan Dunleavy from the New York Post. You mentioned Zach Core for a sec. What made him the right choice when adversity hit to be the guy who stepped up? You have a lot of great position coaches on your staff. What made Zach the right guy? Because I don't think he had defensive play calling experience before other than in college a long time ago.
Yeah, Zach's just grown from the time that I was with him at Ohio State and to the time that Stretch spent with him offensively to us bringing him in Tennessee and watching him grow defensively and understand the concepts that where we're doing defensively, why we were doing them, the suggestions that he made to try to enhance some of those things, continue to grow. I think he really can adjust quickly, and he has an ability to not get hung up. I mean, we sub and we make different calls, and I'm always, trying to watch and make sure that we're coordinated in what we're doing. And he's done that. He did a great job in the offseason. He's a good teacher, good communicator. So, he's really helped us.
Last question, third row left.
When you're playing in the snow like you were last week, do you attack certain patches of grass with the play calling? Look where maybe things are a little bit more like trodden on and trying to get some footing there?
No, I don't think we're good. We're just not that good. I mean, hopefully, the kickers have the ability to put the ball where they want it. But I don't think we can be that specific. It's a little too difficult to be able to do that. I appreciate you guys covering our team, and I hope you enjoy Stephon.